Yes, noir, baby. Hey, Wiley Draws. Hey, Black Hat. How's it going? We have time for one more.
Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it the gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet? Has to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what cost others. As for me, give me liberty, or give me death.
Sending our friend a text, and here he is. Just a moment. Just a moment. There we
Hello.
are, all the way from
Hey.
Germany. How's it going? I see you're already
Bit-
sharing a screen. That's awesome.
I'm trying. Is it possible to see anything? I don't know how the quality is.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. I guess you have a dual camera here, one for your artwork, something you're working on.
Yeah, but the camera I'm using for that is my cell phone camera, and I don't know if the quality is good enough for this. I hope
Looks
anybody
beautiful.
can see anything.
Looks beautiful. At
Cool.
least from let me check YouTube and see what it looks like on YouTube
All right.
real quick. I'm sure it looks awesome. This almost looks like a self-portrait somewhat. Is that
It isn't. Actually,
It isn't.
right after I get
Okay.
off the stream, I have to go to a birthday party of a friend, and in my circle of close friends, it's kind of a tradition that I do portraits for them whenever there's a birthday. So
Uh-huh.
I need to finish this on stream so I can immediately after I get off the stream go to his birthday party and give him his present.
Absolutely. Not a problem. Not a problem. What are you drinking?
Beer and art deck.
Okay, so you're priming for the party before the party.
That's right.
Now you're in Dresden, correct?
Sorry?
You're in Dresden, Germany?
No, I'm in a city called Bochum.
Okay.
Far away from Dresden.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
If I got a little late on the time, I apologize. Time differential. I'm glad you reached out to me. That made it quick for us to come on real quick.
Yeah, well, okay. No problem at all. I just thought I somehow misunderstood you, or maybe I was confusing AM or PM or whatever, something like that.
Right. Phantasmagorical, Fanta in the house, Wiley J Draws, and Black Hat in the house, and Cinephile. I often leave off the Cinephile and just say Black Hat. But thank you all for joining us. Fanta's finishing up a video right now, and she says she'll be right back. So, yeah. My grandfather, Wiley J. Draw says, was in a POW camp in Dresden, if not mistaken. Yeah.
Could be.
And Odin Dresko in the house saying, "What's
Odin.
up?" Are you familiar with Odin?
Odin and I are basically part of the same company, Broken Compass.
Yeah. Uh-huh. You got some
Um,
exciting stuff going on, but for the most part, you've kind of flown under my radar with your work. And so maybe this will help, expose you to the greater crowd,
Thank you, man.
at least some of my crowd. Yeah.
Yeah,
Been,
I'm
been
kind of
looking,
an. Oh,
been looking
sorry.
forward to this. Odin was on just a few days ago with me.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
Um,
I first noticed your work, I guess, through Twitter.
yeah. I seem to have a bit more of a following on Twitter than I do on Instagram, let's say, but still, I don't have
Yeah.
too many followers really. So yeah, I'm always trying to uh, get a larger audience. Maybe I don't know. Twitter is weird. It's just difficult to build up an audience if you don't have a YouTube channel.
Oh, definitely.
And
Odin says, I disavow, I never heard of him. Or at least the company, Skunk Works. Why Skunk Works? Does your comic books work smell?
uh, not really.
I'm
It's
really surprised you
I
not. Do you have skunks in Germany?
the thing is I can't go into too much detail with this.
Okay.
The name is a nickname that goes back to the old days, the graffiti days, and yeah.
Oh, were
Okay.
you a graffiti artist then? Uh,
Here and there.
you don't, yeah. Now, was that with spray paint?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
really bad at that though.
I have to ask that because now graffiti artwork's in the art galleries.
Yeah. It wasn't like that back then.
No, it wasn't like that back then. Yeah.
And also I'm terrible at using spray paint and I really suck at that. So
Yeah.
that's not really what I do today.
Wiley J. Draws was asking, and I was kind of curious about this too. Your handle on Instagram, so we can follow you on Instagram. If
it's
you
also Skunk Artworks.
can you make okay, all right, and that is with the little dash. I don't think that in my title I didn't put the little separation between Skunk Artworks. I apologize for that. I don't think on YouTube you could put that in there.
Yeah, I actually don't know what this thing is called in English, but you know what I mean, right?
Your English is very, very well. I mean, you speak English very well.
Thank you. It's okay for a German guy, I guess.
Yeah. Did you learn that in school or what?
Yeah. Yes, some of it. Back in the days when I was a kid.
Oh, Wiley says he's already followed you.
Awesome.
On Instagram.
Thanks.
Great.
You see, it's like this. In Germany, we learn English at school, but when I was a kid, there was still VHS tapes, not DVDs or anything like that. And what I would do is, my parents were very strict when it came to ratings. They always tried to make sure I only would watch age-appropriate movies.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found out was that the ratings in the USA and in Britain are different from those in Germany. And I would always go to the comic book store where they sold VHS tapes from overseas. And whenever a movie that I was not allowed to buy in Germany had a lower age rating in another country, I would buy it at the comic book store. And then I would watch the English language versions, and that's kind of how I taught myself English.
Doc Blaylock in the house as well. He's done some work for me. He does Dry Blood and Mud and the trailer that we just opened up with the noir piece. He says he speaks better than you, English better than you do, Rex.
I actually like your accent a lot. You are from the South, I guess, right?
I'm from Doc might, yes, barely, according to Doc. I'm in Arkansas. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's near the Mississippi River, I guess, near Memphis, Tennessee, which you might know from Elvis or
Yeah.
some of the other famous musicians. What kind of music do you like? Do you play music while you draw? And you better
Um.
get drawing because this has to be done for the party.
Yeah. Sorry. It's almost done already.
I don't want.
Um.
Okay.
So that I don't have to hurry that much. No.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of music actually, but mostly the music I like is actually soul music from your country, from the
Uh,
'60s and '70s, that kind of stuff. I really like that. Um, yeah, but I don't listen to music at all when I paint or draw. I usually listen to streams and stuff like that, podcasts. Um, that's what I like. Um, I don't know why that is, but it makes it easier for me to concentrate if I listen to other people talk for some reason. I don't know.
oh yeah. Do you have what we call talk radio over there?
I don't know what it is actually.
Okay, talk
What do you
radio
mean
would
talk
be
radio?
like they pick a subject and just basically have a conversation or talk about it.
Yeah,
It could
well,
most notably like Rush Limbaugh for uh
that kind of stuff. Yeah,
yeah, political, but it could be on any subject actually, like a podcast, I suppose.
I
I
guess.
just signed up for Kill Them Dead from Broken Compass Entertainment. Uh, Thanks for dropping that link, Odin. And I signed up for your Instagram.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
way we do it.
yeah, but basically,
Yeah,
my Instagram is a replica of my Twitter account. It's the same stuff that I post on there. Really,
yeah.
on my
I'm the
Twitter.
same way. I'm Devil Flyer on Twitter, on on everything except maybe Facebook. Uh,
Yeah, Facebook is kind of dead, isn't it? I don't know.
well,
Or
I
maybe I'm
mean,
a little old. I don't
for older folks like me,
know.
it's a great way to connecting. Actually, uh, and I'm sorry, I you'll have to tell me your name again since we're just meeting.
Yeah, sorry, Sebastian.
Sebastian. Okay.
Yeah.
Sebastian, actually I'm adopted and my real biological sister contacted
Mhm.
me through Facebook recently. So it can
Really?
be it can be a
Whoa.
great connector with people.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, we talk on the phone just about every night, although I was busy last night and didn't really reach out to her. I don't even know if she texted me and said
Yeah.
said good night, but well, thank you, Odin, for dropping those links. That's the way to do it. And I don't know, can Sebastian, can you uh drop a comment in the chat, or would that be too difficult with your setup?
I could. What should I do?
Just say hi or say hello, chat, whatever, and I will give you a wrench if you don't already have a wrench. That way you can come in anytime and you can drop your links to your projects, say hi, whatever.
Just a second. There you go.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Always a bit difficult for me because I don't have a professional setup for streaming. I always have to use, iPads and cell phones and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Streaming
Well,
is kind of hard for me because of the time difference. Where at all times that I could possibly stream, all the Americans are basically asleep or at work or something like that. So streaming
yeah,
really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
yeah. Uh, I'm not seeing your comment come up yet, but maybe it's delayed in the chat. And
Really?
YouTube is definitely behind. They're always behind. Seems like
Well, I can see it.
the
Says
stream
hi.
part. Oh, you put it in the private chat. Can you put
Oh,
it in? Can you put it in the YouTube chat? You might have to be on
okay.
YouTube and
Wait a second.
open that up for that. Sorry about that.
Um,
Caroline says, Ice Queen says, I have the same problem. I miss loads of because I'm asleep. Yeah, she's over in the UK. So she's a little bit delayed and has to watch on rewatch some things. But
Mhm.
and when I wasn't working my nighttime job, because I work at night, I'm a night owl. I think it's
Really?
just quiet, and yeah, I'm a night owl. I would do a lot of early streaming, like wake up, coffee, wake up with people, or yeah, I mean this is not a problem for me because I work at night and
Yeah.
get in probably about 2 a.m. every night, or it depends on the night. Like last night wasn't so bad. One,
Got
so
it.
about 2.
Yeah, the thing is, usually I really wouldn't mind that much, but since I have two little kids, it's become
Right.
difficult. You can't just, stay up all night and do stuff you like to do. It's just
Right.
not possible anymore.
Yep.
Um,
All right, there you go. You're now a moderator on the channel.
Thank you.
Everybody here has a wrench, so it's
Awesome.
nothing special. But it will allow you to drop your links anytime. And I hope you have subscribed to the show. I do a daily show.
Of course I did.
Of course, I know it's let's see, you're 6 hours ahead of me, correct?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
on Central, so yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think I was thinking 1 o'clock. It's now 12:50 here, and maybe that was the time mix up, but
I don't know.
it was probably right 12.
Yeah.
When yeah. So apologize for that. I'll try and get it right
No
the next
problem
time.
at all, man. Not at all.
Black Hat says I found Skunk artworks on Twitter, and we already follow each other. If I had your YouTube, I'd put your links in my default description, which is the comments down below for every show he does. He would
Mm.
put your YouTube. Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do think I have one, and I uploaded one video a long time ago.
Odin, if you're still there, can you drop that link as well? That'd be awesome. I follow so many people. I notice your icon is the Boris Karloff
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
Yeah, I did a painting, or I do lots of paintings of Boris Karloff because he's just such a perfect human being to paint. I just love the way
Yeah.
he looks, man.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught yesterday's show. I showed an old interview with him yesterday from the early 60s, about 1962, talking about his
So,
role in Frankenstein.
was yesterday the one with Steve Root?
No, that was maybe day before or
Okay,
something.
that's the last one I saw. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah, Karloff is
for
awesome.
dropping that, Black Cat. Appreciate that. Takes the onus off of the burden off of Odin to do that. Let's see if I have this right. I always like to subscribe to creative people as yourself and try and catch. So I notice you have you actually film that painting the Boris Karloff Frankenstein speed painting is your video up there.
Sometimes I do that when I have time.
5 subscribers. Now maybe I'm 6, but that's yeah, that would be hard to find on YouTube. I mean, unless you have the name or the link. Some of these big crowdfunding platforms have been shadow banning. You're aware of shadow banning, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And
I hope it doesn't happen to us. I don't know why it would happen. There's really no reason for that, but you never know these days, It's become kind of a weird thing. Even guys that I would never have believed would be shadow banned, like I don't know, people like Phil Diaz or some people who are absolutely nice people who don't say any controversial stuff at all.
Now
they get shadow banned.
oh yeah, exactly. Like Doc Blaylock, he was shadow banned after being a year on sign up. Even his sign up for his project after a time was shadow banned, right? And when he launched the project, it was immediately shadow banned. So you're drinking beer, and then what is that there? Because I didn't.
That's Artbag Wee Beastie. It's a pretty good Scotch.
Scotch.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Very smoky.
Were you born in Germany?
Yes, I was born
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been here
Lived in
all my life.
Germany all your life then?
Yeah, except for a very brief period during my time at college. I lived in London for, I don't know, 1.5 months, really short, but
London. How did you
yeah.
find London? Busy?
London is London is a pretty cool city, or at least it was back then. I don't know how it is today, but
Yeah.
London is very interesting. Um, very large, very crowded. It was.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it just said, the little differences between countries. I always kind of like that. The little differences in food and the way that people dress and all that stuff. I don't know. It's always London has the best Indian food I've ever had in my whole entire life, because they have lots of immigrants from
Mhm.
India and the West Indies and so on. So yeah. Oh, B.A. Turner. Hi,
Yeah, BA. We've got to get BA on the show. He's got
dude.
a project out that's.
Vigilante's Creed is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the black and white cover that he put out a couple of days ago. Did you see that by Joe Wall?
It looks like he has a Lovecraftian Cthulhu
Yeah,
type
yeah.
character, that like maybe it's influenced by Lovecraft a little bit.
I think it must be. Everything
Mhm.
with tentacles is kind of influenced by Lovecraft, I guess. Yeah.
Fanta went to London, I think it was last year. She took a trip to the UK and she says London is cool.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Also, going to a football game in London is a cool experience as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what you call football is really soccer, what we call here soccer, right?
No, it's actually the real football.
Okay. Well, I know we kind of co-opted that, I guess. I'll concede that. Now, the only Sebastian I've ever known has been Sebastian Cabot. That was an American actor back in the, I don't know, 50s, 60s, but came to prominence in the 60s mostly,
Has he
70s.
done anything I should know?
No, oh, he was a larger than life, jovial, fun guy. He played this butler that I just loved as a child. Taking care of a bachelor and his children.
Yeah.
Uh, he was also in H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. I think that was the Disney version, the early Disney version in the early '60s or
Yeah, I
mid.
know that one. I
Yeah,
really like that.
yeah. Sebastian
This version.
Cabot's one of the lead character's friends, and he's the
Okay.
guy with the beard and mustache like you have, and he's
Uh-huh.
a little robust, rotund, type guy. So if you ever watch that again, he's in that movie at the first of it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway,
A
BA's
Circle of
campaign,
Fear.
very
I
cool.
am not familiar with that, but yes, Family Affair was the show I was talking about. Family Affair, I think. It's been so long. I used to love that stuff. It is definitely football, not soccer. Yeah, but you like in volleyball, you can use your head, right? You
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah.
use your hands.
That's right. That's right.
Right. Yeah.
You
I'm
can
not
pretty
totally
much use
ignorant.
everything except for your arms.
I'm not totally ignorant to football. I mean yes, football. It's
Yeah,
weird to call it football because we call it soccer over here.
yeah.
We
It's
make
just not a thing in the States, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's growing. It really is, Sebastian. It's
Is it?
growing over here. Yeah, especially I think a big push for it is foreign students in the colleges. Probably
Mm.
it was a big thing when I went to college in the 80s when dinosaurs ruled the earth. Uh, we talk about the 80s, but that was, 40 years ago. I mean, I would have been a junior in high school,
Mm.
40 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Next,
love the '80s. The
yeah.
'80s were cool. Good memories. That's when I was born. That's the
Yeah.
time I grew up in. I
Yeah.
really like the '80s.
Yeah, my daughter was, to put it in perspective, my daughter was, now I got started young, but my daughter was born in 86. So,
Mm.
Sebastian, I am your father.
Yeah.
So what kind of party are you going to go to later on?
Oh.
Just a birthday party, huh? Was it a
Yeah,
birthday?
but nothing too big, you know.
Yeah.
It's just
Friend
basically
or family?
my closest friends and me hanging
Okay.
out and, you know, having a couple of drinks, listening to music, and that's it. Nothing too large. We're getting old. We all have kids. We don't party like we used to, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As you get older and then responsibilities with family. Now, do you
Yeah.
have a son, a daughter? You have two sons, two
I have
daughters?
two
What do you got?
sons. Two
Two
sons.
sons. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is obviously, you know, one of the most awesome experiences of your life, but it's also it puts certain restraints onto your life.
I had three daughters and never got to go to the bathroom, Sebastian.
Yeah.
They're
I can
always
see that.
doing their hair, or, there's
Yeah.
I actually had two stepsons as well, but and
Okay.
two of my daughters are adopted, and I have one biological. So we have kind of a blend, right? And
Okay.
I was adopted too. So it was pretty cool to adopt a couple myself. And but
It's a
yeah,
very honorable thing to do.
at 57, well, it saved my life. I mean, I don't you know, uh because I mean there are alternatives to adoption, but I mean, why anybody would choose abortion, I don't know, but uh, because children are really a blessing from God. I mean,
They are.
they're
They
your
certainly are.
legacy. They're your legacy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. They change everything. The
yeah.
way you
Oh,
think, the
they'll
way
do
you think
that.
about
Yeah.
the entire world just changes the day you have kids,
I
man.
think about Jesus in overturning the tables of the money lenders. It's like, hey, I have kids. Yay!
Yeah.
Throw
It
that
is like
stuff
that.
around.
It is like that,
It
man.
does. That's the perfect way to put it. They change everything,
Yeah.
and it's a lifelong commitment. It's not something that you can. I thought it would be nice to have a son, but now
Mhm.
today you can't do that.
Yeah, and that's kind of a problem, you know, because
Yeah,
people have, in a lot of ways, unlearned um, committing themselves to things for their whole entire life. And this is something, when you have kids, you can't back off from that, you know. This
right.
is this
Yeah.
is different. Yeah.
Now,
But anyway, it's by far the greatest experience of my whole entire life.
are your sons? Do they play football?
Yes,
Any
of
at all?
course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You kind of kick around the ball with them a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Every kid in Germany does that. It's
Uh huh.
just,
Oh,
you know,
really? I mean, soccer's that big? Okay, well,
it is
forgive
by
my.
far the biggest
Yeah.
the biggest sport over here.
Okay. All
All
right.
the kids play soccer. I played soccer um um most of my life, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you?
Um,
Would you say you're pretty good?
no,
Average? What? No.
average. I wasn't bad, but
Yeah.
I certainly wasn't one of the best though.
Mhm.
Yeah, and my kids also, or at least one of them, he does quite a lot of artwork because, you know, he always used to hang out with me and just try to copy what I do, and he always takes part in these little fan art contests on Twitter. Um, yeah, and he's certainly going to be a better artist than I am one day if he keeps on if he keeps on going like this.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
We'll see.
Whether a person, I think everyone should explore creativity
Yeah,
in
one way or another.
one way or another, whether they like woodworking or they like
Yeah,
sculpting, they like
yeah,
paper craft, they like glass, they
yeah,
like drawing, inking, whatever. They should explore and find out. Almost like, over here in college, when you first start over here, I don't know how it is over there, Sebastian, but they will give you classes that you feel like you don't need. And the reason I was given, I think it's a money thing, but uh, they say that they're trying to give you a wide breadth about, and for you to help you select a career, what you would like to do. Well, when I went in college, I already knew what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a comic book artist.
Yeah.
So uh, really, there's very few schools that teach that. So I went into graphic design, then I went into the fine art part of it because one of the professors, and got into sculpting and bronze casting and different things like that. Things that I'd never considered that I explored, but were fun at the time, and I would love to revisit sometime in my
Yeah.
life. It gave me a well-roundedness, about thinking in 3 dimensions, and which helps in sequential artwork. A sculpture has to be aesthetically pleasing, I suppose, from every angle. So you really get to thinking about,
Yeah.
your drawing that you want to put in your sequential artwork from every angle. And I'm very cinematic when it comes to the shots that I set up and think. I think that's one thing that's helped me uh, is movies and TV. Just the different camera angles. Hey, Carrie. Carrie's over in the UK as well. It's
Oh, yeah.
earlier over there for you. You're in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think the general approach makes sense. You give these young people a broad variety of stuff that they can look into and that they can pick and choose from. I guess that kind of makes sense, because a lot of young people don't know what they want to do at all. You know, I certainly didn't know what I wanted to do when I was a young guy.
Yeah, when you're in remedial or grade school or high school, as we would call it, I don't know what you call it over there,
Yeah.
but when you're in that, it's a different sect altogether, and then you go to college, which is totally different. Nobody's holding your hand.
Yeah.
You don't know anyone. You're like thrust into the world at that point for the very first time in the academic, realm. And yeah, I knew early on what I wanted to do or what I would like to aspire to do. And it was just finding a way to do that. And,
Yeah.
recently through crowdfunding, hey, I can do it
Yeah.
and have done it. So, and hope to do some more.
I actually wish I would have gotten into the whole crowdfunding indie comic scene earlier. But I was basically totally ignorant of this thing. I didn't know anything about it, and just through sheer coincidence, I kind of stumbled across this whole new world that I didn't even know existed.
Mhm.
So
Now,
I'm pretty happy
how did you kind of pair up with Odin?
with Odin.
Uh-huh. Because you're kind of working with him a little bit, right?
Yeah, quite a lot, actually. Since
Mhm.
we're doing this book, Kill Them Dead together.
Yeah.
Um,
His
but
unconditional shove looked wonderful.
I think that's how I got to know him. I'm not quite sure, but I think I backed Unconditional Shove because I
Okay.
really, really like his traditional black and white inking style.
Mhm.
And I think sometime after that, he contacted me and wanted me to do a piece of art for, I think that he wants to use as a print for his Unconditional Shove campaign.
Okay.
And that's how we got into contact with each other. And then through Odin, I met James, who's also one of the writers on Kill Them Dead, and he also commissioned me to do a cover for his Magnificent Bastards book. And yeah, that's how I got to know these
That's a
guys.
great honor, isn't it, to be able to do a cover?
Yeah,
For
I think Odin and James, both these guys have put so much trust and faith into me right from the beginning, and I really, really respect that because I'm a nobody. I have like 500, 600 followers or something like that. Nobody knows me. I'm a complete outsider from a different country, and they give me this chance,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I highly respect that. You know,
What is
very
kind of
thankful
like
for that.
your artistic background?
Um,
I mean, is it something you studied in college or
no, nothing like that.
sort
It's
of
just
self-taught? Self-taught?
yeah, self-taught. When I was a little kid, I would always draw all day and scribble onto everything that was at hand, and I did that for quite some time, and I got into comic books like a lot of boys do,
Hmm.
and then when I was a teenager, this whole comic book thing became less and less important, and other things were
Sure.
of a greater importance at the time,
Right.
and I kind of um, left this whole comic book topic alone for years, and I don't know. I think it was like, no, I guess 9 years ago or something like that. I hadn't drawn in 10 years or so,
Wow.
and I
Okay, so
think
you
nine,
didn't
nine
go into the artistic, like,
not at
commercial
all,
art or
nothing,
yeah.
nothing. Just
Because I mean, commercial art, if you can stand the rigors and the stresses and the deadlines and everything, it can be more lucrative than comics. But now with the crowdfunding, the sky's the limit. If
yeah,
people like your stuff, you can make $1
yeah,
million or
yeah.
two, you know?
Uh, No, but to me, it was actually a coincidence. I think it was 8 or 9 years ago. I was at one of those craft stores with my wife,
Hmm.
um, and I was bored as hell. She was looking for something I was not at all interested in, and I was wandering around in this store, and I found sketchbooks and a couple of pens, and out of sheer boredom, I bought a couple of them and started getting back into drawing, which I hadn't done for 10, 15 years or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And from that day on, I was hooked again for some reason. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you, but from that day on, I didn't stop, and I started working on
Now, where
myself and
does the
working on myself.
graffiti or where does the graffiti? I mean, is that in your younger, little wilder
Not,
days?
yeah, that was when I was a teenager,
Okay.
for a
Okay.
brief period. But like I said, I wasn't good at it. I wasn't really that successful. But that's where the name comes from.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mean Skunk Artworks?
Yes, Skunk. Yeah.
Okay. Skunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, did you do buildings, walls, trains? What'd you do? Or look, the statute of limitations is already passed. They're not going to come get you, at least in this country.
Ba-
I don't know about
basically building walls.
there. Okay. Yeah, actually, there's a place that has a part of the German wall here in Arkansas. They actually have
Really?
a section of it. Yeah, I've seen it.
How, how did that happen?
Well, I don't know. They transported it. I was not expecting it when I went there. Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, they got a section of the wall. So I imagine sections of the wall probably went all over the world.
Yeah, probably.
That's
Yeah.
definitely changed Germany, hasn't it? Just the wall coming down in our lifetime.
Well, at the time, I was a kid. I
Yeah.
didn't really
Right.
capture the whole significance of what was happening there. That
Mhm.
was something that I learned later on. And sadly, in Germany, you don't learn too much about this chapter of our history at school. I'm not exactly sure why that is. You really learn a lot about Nazi Germany history, fascism and all that, but you really don't learn a lot about our communist history.
And now,
So
how was that cast? How was Nazi totalitarianism? How was that kind of cast in school? Because I know that it's illegal. Like if I have Nazi characters that's in
mm,
comics, but now you cannot show the swastika within Germany, correct?
yeah, it's illegal. That's right.
Yeah.
Um,
And
no,
in some countries like Brazil and South America, it's illegal as well.
yeah. Yeah, well, obviously, this is a
Touchy
topic
subject.
that has special significance in my country. So Germany is very, very keen on making sure something like this does not happen ever again, and
Good.
that's why there's a very strong focus on this topic at schools, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a good thing, as far as I'm concerned. I just found it a bit disappointing that there was another rather dark chapter in our history that you don't really learn much about at school, which is
The
that we
communist
were a separated
influence.
country with a communist party.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was divided up in half, basically,
Yeah,
right?
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the world was reconfigured after World War II. It was a big defining
Mhm.
thing within the 20th century and continues to be in the 21st century. Really have
Absolutely.
repercussions, and
Yeah.
just like you throw a stone in a pond, it has a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
And as time goes by, it's less and less, but there it was such a rich history and time. There was such a technological ramp up
Mhm.
during that time that it brought us the cell phone eventually, and
Yeah,
whatever else
that's
we
good.
have, right? I don't know if that's a good thing, but
Yeah, I was going to say I don't know if that's a gift or a curse, but
yeah.
I guess we'll find out.
Now, what type of material do you like to work in? I noticed was that whiteout you were using, or
I sometimes use regular whiteout pen, but mostly it's acrylics.
okay, mostly acrylics. Okay,
Yeah, what I do is pretty simple. I do a traditional ink drawing, with black ink, and then I
right.
put a couple of transparent gray tones on top of that,
Yeah.
gray washes or whatever, and then I pick out highlights with white acrylics, like I'm
Now,
doing right now.
now is your friend, right, that you're going to present this
That's right.
to? Okay. How long have you known this gentleman?
Since school, basically,
Really?
for
Okay.
quite a long time. But we weren't friends back then. Actually, I didn't have shit to do with this guy back in school.
Yeah.
And a long time after school, I kind of got to know him better through another friend of mine. And now we're actually very close. He's one of my best friends. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing portraits for him on his birthday, obviously. But yeah, this is kind of a tradition. I do this every year for all of my friends. Whenever there's a birthday, they get a portrait.
That's awesome. My birthday is November 2nd, just to let you know.
All right, I will remember.
Okay. No, you won't. Write it down.
Here you go.
Okay. There you go. You'll throw that away later, folks. Now, I noticed you dipping that in the white. Is that just a brush that you're using? What is that?
That's a brush with a water tank attached to it.
Okay, so that's
If you
traditionally
squeeze it, yeah.
yeah, used for, so it has what? Does it actually, is it loaded up and have
Yeah,
water in the barrel now?
yeah, it is.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I
I
kind of like
have a
that
bunch
because
of
you can
those. I've had a
control
bunch.
how much liquid
Yeah.
there's. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you've squished that one a little bit to better conform to the way you hold it.
Yeah, well,
I guess it kind of flattens out, right? Once you release some of the water into it, do you have to kind of squeeze as you
yeah. If you
need
squeeze it
water?
like I'm
Okay.
doing here, you see the water coming out?
I bought a bunch of those on sale and I never use them. I think that the ones that I have you use with watercolor, but you could use it for acrylic, I'm sure.
I think it was made for watercolor, but I'm using it for acrylics. It works just fine. I've had this particular brush for 7 years or something like that, and it's
Ah,
still working.
okay.
So I really like that. When Odin and James approached me to do the paintings on Kill Them Dead, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be 60 to 80 pages and all of them traditionally painted.
That's a big commitment.
That's
Yeah.
a hell of a big commitment. This is you know, and for somebody like me who works full time, has a family, kids, and all that, this is
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
And I really had to come up with a way to streamline and to quicken the process with which I usually work. And using this thing with acrylics is the quickest way to paint that I could find, and it so far it works like a charm.
Now, when you finish a page, do you just scan it and send it to them? How do
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, hopefully.
It really speaks of their faith in you, because you have to find an artist that is committed to do a block of like 60 pages. And,
Well,
and you know, once they start, not get 32, 31, 15 pages in and go, I'm kind of tired of this, whatever.
yeah.
I mean, you know, you have to make a commitment for the whole block, the whole project.
Odin and James both have worked with me before, so they know I deliver, and they know I can do
and kind of what speed you work at as well.
That's what I'm trying to say. They know that I'm quick enough. Let's put it this way. I'm not super quick, but I'm fairly decent. And yeah.
Would you say you're meticulous?
I don't know. Not really.
Not really. But you do want it to look right when it's done, right?
Yeah. You see, the thing is, what I found out a couple of years ago is this. There were some paintings that I thought were very important to me, and I really wanted to get everything about these paintings right, and I put a lot of effort into them and really tried to get everything just the way I wanted it. And all these paintings were failures. And the things that really look cool were the rough sketches I did.
Yeah.
That I just pumped out like that.
And that's your mind, because it had an energy, a flow to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And much like a gesture drawing does. And
exactly.
Then you can define it and take all the energy and the life out of it, can't you?
That's right. And that's why I tried not to get too meticulous about all of this stuff, because it takes away the energy, it takes away the punch it has. And you know,
are you familiar with Sean Gordon Murphy, the American artist?
Of course.
Yeah. His work, it seems like that. A little rough, but it's there. And then I guess you could look at Frank Miller too. He leaves a lot out.
Absolutely.
And your mind fills in the rest.
Yeah. That's right. And you know, to me, this kind of works. For example, if you look at this portrait, this is just somebody looking at the camera, not moving, nothing. But you still have to try to give it a certain level of energy and movement. And you know, this just works better if you're loose and sketchy, for example.
It's a fairly static shot, but you try, and with the white and even the framing behind it, to add some energy to it.
Yeah, that's right.
And this
is something
some life
to always keep in mind.
Absolutely. You know? Yeah. And it's something I find, Sebastian, that you have to constantly remind yourself of, or I do.
Absolutely.
Because you can just, this is looking great, and then you work on it too much and you just kill all the energy out of it.
This is my natural tendency to overwork stuff, you know, and I'm always constantly fighting myself and my instincts, you know. I always have to remind myself, stop for example, right now, I'm probably going to stop working on this because it's enough.
Okay. Now, do you sign your work?
Yeah, I'm just looking for a pen to sign it.
Okay.
I put it here somewhere.
When I do a painting, and I know people are like, put Picasso, you know, put your name on there, put Rex Christian on there. And I'm like, to me, that's not part of the design. I always sign it on back. I'm different.
Really?
Yeah. And yes, I want my stuff to be known, but the image is the image and my name is my name. And I separate the two.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that.
That's just me. I don't want anything, a bad signature, let's say, to interfere with the image. The name should not be more important than the image of what you're trying to convey. I guess that's my thinking on it.
But then there are artists. I'm not one of them, but they are out there who have a signature that has such a cool design that it
Oh
kind of
yeah.
blends into the image. Some
I'm
people are
not one
pretty
of
good
those.
at that.
I'm not one of those. I
Me
never
neither.
got beyond cuneiform, the clay tablets and the
Okay.
ancient writing. I never got beyond that. It's like I stopped at like third grade with my
Yeah.
signature, and it's not changed since. I never developed that. Oh yes,
Yeah.
flowy. This guy's obviously an artist. Look at that signature.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a doctor that you can't read. That's the joke. You
Yeah.
can never read a doctor's signature. I think that's because they're such in a hurry. They just like,
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I really wish I had a cooler signature, but
Yeah.
I guess that's just not for me. I suck at lettering anyway, so.
Well, now there's artists that I have noticed, like Joe Kubert. I don't know if you know Joe Kubert,
Of course.
but he went through different signature changes over time. He tried
Really?
different signatures, right? And I think you develop it till you find something you like.
Could be.
Now I don't want to do that, so I just threw I started going to a symbol for my last name, Christian. So it's like a heel with 3 crosses, and that's the way I sign my stuff now.
Yeah.
Certain things.
Do you know the British illustrator Mark Schultz?
Mark Schultz.
He
Well, not
illustrated
by
the Conan
name, but I'm
novels.
terrible with names. Great with the images. If I saw something from him, I would probably go, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah."
Yeah, he's one of those guys who has a beautiful, artsy fartsy
Penmanship.
signature,
Yeah.
and penmanship in general, probably, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, so there's so much I want to ask about your origins, within comics. Like you were exposed on the stands, I suppose, to comics.
Yeah.
Started reading comics. What was the point that you started drawing, and then what point did you give it up? Like college, I guess.
I grew up with when I was a little kid, that was before I got into superhero books. I was very much a fan of Disney comics, Scrooge McDuck and Donald Duck and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And even at that point, I was kind of a weird kid, I guess, because I had favorite Disney artists. Most kids just read these comics and throw them away. And I was like, oh yeah, I like Carl Barks, or I like Don Rosa. Those are my favorite Disney artists.
Carl Barks, I would think, was the most famous.
Yeah.
And
but this is weird for a kid to know the artists of the Disney comics,
Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah.
And I was into actually finding out about the artists even at that age. And then I also, growing up in Europe, obviously I was very much growing up with bande dessinée.
I'm not sure that prior to the early 80s that people really followed artists and writers and never colorists or letterers or anything like that. But they each play an important key role, inkers. But now during the early 80s, I think that changed. I think one thing that helped was Marvel Comics adding credits, right? Because DC never added credits, and you might have Kurt Swan or Wayne Boring on Superman for decades, and you don't even know because they didn't put credits in there. That's kind of frustrating when it comes to the 60s comics, but I love the credits.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can remember Steve Englehart on the Avengers, and don't ask me why. It just the story impacted me, and it's like, who wrote this? Well, writer Steve Englehart. So he was probably one of the first writers that I really took note of. And then, of course, Chris Claremont of the X-Men that wrote X-Men for over 20 years. It's hard to ignore him.
Yeah, that was another thing that happened afterwards. So, when I was a young teenager, let's say, I got into superhero books, and because Chris Claremont X-Men stuff, that was a little bit before my time. So I grew up with Jim Lee X-Men,
Right.
and that really floored me. When I first saw that Jim
Well, see,
Lee.
you grew up during the time that artists were recognized. See,
Yeah,
I was old enough to see the shift to where you've had the first superstars like George Perez, Frank Miller,
yeah,
go down the list, John Byrne, these were big names because they were doing some colossal stuff within X-Men, Avengers, other things. And
hmm
you first, and you, and people, of course, always had their favorites, but I don't know that they were like, oh, Gil Kane or, some of the older artists.
hmm yeah,
Um, it was because they didn't get the recognition, but then that was kind of like the superstar time. And then
hmm
the image stuff came out, and
yeah,
like you say, Jim Lee and other big names rose to the top, and it was all about the artist, or the inker, or I mean, it was not just Frank Miller on Daredevil; it was Frank Miller and Klaus Janson
hmm
as inker.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, that was a pretty good thing, because I always bought comic books based on whether I liked the art. I wasn't really all that much into the stories. All my purchasing decisions were absolutely art driven, and
Well, you mentioned Steve Rude, and he touched upon that in our interview. He said
yeah,
comics are first primarily a visual art form, and
yeah,
that is what drew me to collect on a regular basis. A couple of factors, but just the George Perez artwork, and then a lot of characters because I wanted a lot of bang for my buck. I
hmm
wasn't stuck on like one
hmm
character like Hulk or Spider-Man. Now I would later collect those, but the teams drew me, and then just
yeah.
his artwork. But it was drawn by the artwork before the story.
Mm. Yeah, also the character designs.
Yeah.
Like I liked Spider-Man. I didn't give a shit about Peter Parker, or all of his girl problems and all this. I didn't care at all. I just thought this is a cool looking character. Same with Wolverine. I
Mm.
really liked Wolverine, not because he was a good character, but because he looked cool, So all of that for me was very much driven by the visuals, and
Mhm.
yeah, and so that's how I got into
But
Kelly Jones then.
bad inking, and Jack Kirby had a bunch of bad inkers, especially on some of his.
Certainly.
They didn't help him out a lot. Even John Buscema, I think, in some of the Savage Sword of Conan's, bad inkers. I mean, or they would put secondary inkers that were just getting started in the field. Well, we'll put them on Conan.
Yeah,
because John's going to look great no matter who inks it. No, not
yeah,
necessarily.
that's kind of true, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah. He
yeah.
does always look good, no matter who inks him. Yeah,
Well, yeah. I mean, he can save it to a certain degree, but
yeah,
if certainly, if X-Men taught me something, it's like John Byrne, Terry Austin. If you have a
mhm,
great inker, or like Frank Miller and Klaus Janson, you
yeah,
know, because with Frank Miller, Klaus Janson enhanced his stuff.
Did-
And I'm learning more and more about Klaus, that he's more rounded than an inker. I mean, he did a drawing book, and inking a book on inking, and other books, and he was around a lot longer than what I thought. I see some of his work from the early to mid 70s. So even before I knew who he was, and Daredevil brought him to my attention in the early 80s, he had been around a decade or so.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Mike Mignola not inked by himself?
Yeah, probably in his early
L-
days.
Looks like shit. And
Yeah,
you wouldn't believe that this is actually Mike Mignola when you see it.
yeah.
Looks totally different.
Like,
And
I know early on he did Alpha Flight, and he probably had other inkers on that.
Mm. So
Yeah.
the inkers make a hell of a lot of difference.
Well, to me, that is what I mean. I'm inking another artist stuff right now that's done a lot of work for me, and that to me is where the energy is, where you can either kill it or save it, you know, and you have to make it define, when I'm drawing, I can just like, well, I'll show you example. Like when I did this is a wraparound cover. This is the back of it. This is the front with the heroes on the front and the villains on the back rushing towards each other. Classic little thing.
Awesome.
And
looks awesome.
He can draw this tail, but I have to make it look seamless. I have to define it in ink, and long lines like that are a bitch.
Yes. How do you ink? Do you use a brush or what do you use?
Well, I use I have a double tip thing here. One has more of a brush marker on it.
Yeah.
If you could see that, I wish.
Yeah, I know these things. Yeah.
And then, but I don't really use that. I use this sort of like a medium or fat tip. I also use this that has ink in the barrel.
Yes.
Now this is
this one.
There you go. Yeah. But now you can't really you could, I mean, if you just barely, and a little hatching, you could barely touch it, you could get some fine lines, but this is more for broad stuff, or wide areas to ink. At least
you can get very thin lines though with this.
You can.
It's possible. Yeah.
It is possible. And I do work with this quite a bit and have through the years since I discovered these, because you can do so much with it, and it helps you with your control. If you can learn. I've done a lot of complete pieces just with this. I used nothing but this for a long time. I like to challenge myself. One thing that I do is scratch artwork. Like here's an example of the scratch artwork I did. This is not actual. This is a postcard I did, but like scratch artwork, and this was the actual colors that were revealed underneath it. It's actually for kids, but I discovered this, and it's like you're doing a reductive thing, right? You're taking away the black, and this is printed just the way it would have been done. Now on the second one, I reversed the image and did a little bit more graphic design on that, but it was still scratch art, and it has an etched quality to it. The line, it has a different line quality than you're going to get with anything else. So I really like the scratch artwork. But the thing of it is, you can't make mistakes. You can't erase. The best you can do is maybe cover up a mistake with something, If, that foot didn't quite come out right, all right, I'll put a leaf there or something, to cover it up. You can't erase, but I like that. It causes me to think, what line do I want to put down?
Yeah, you have to make deliberate decisions.
Very deliberate, and not everybody does that, but I like to. I want to put down, think about what do I really want to do, just like in writing, what do I really want to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I love the fact that you say, I'm going to go all Sean Gordon Murphy or whatever, Jason Bascom. I'm just going to sling that ink. I'm going to get a little scratchy quality. I like that. I really do. In a lot of artists, I really love that. And I don't see enough of that in comics.
You know what actually helps with this?
Yeah.
Do you know these pens, the Pilot Parallel pens?
Ah, okay. Can I see the tip?
They have, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, that looks like
this is like a blade.
A chisel point?
Yeah, in a way.
Uh-huh.
And it forces you to be sketchy because it's not meant for drawing. It's meant for calligraphy. And
calligraphy, I was going to ask. Yeah. See, that's what I like. See, you're challenging yourself in your craft. Because if you turn it wrong, you're going to get a different line quality.
Yeah, but the cool thing is, it automatically looks sketchy if you draw with this, because you get all these broken lines and you get this random spatter sometimes, and all this. This looks really cool, and these pens really help with giving your work, you know, this kind of weird, scratchy Sienkiewicz type
Oh
energy.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I we talked about that the other day, Bill Sienkiewicz. I actually got to meet him. He's a short guy. uh but and early on in his career, he was Bill Sienkiewicz early on. He drew or tried to draw a big mentor of his was, or someone he tried to mimic was Neil Adams.
Mhm.
And then what he's turned out to be is nothing like Neil Adams. You could see that in like his New Mutant stuff.
If you look at his old, what was it called? The Moon Knight stuff.
Yeah,
That was very Neil Adams type stuff back
it
then,
was.
and
Yeah.
he
Hmm.
gradually changed, and he got more and more experimental with each book, and then there was New Mutants. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that he got pretty wild. I mean, he was really challenging the aesthetic sense at the time. And I said, here's an artist that does some things that I don't much care for, but he's on the right track of
Hmm.
making comics art
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
more artistic. He's
Yeah.
taking it in a different vein that no one's ever done, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Hmm.
And I didn't always like everything he produced, but I appreciated what he was trying to do.
Yeah. That's right. And this is also another thing that was a big influence for me, because some of the stuff that I really, really loved growing up was painted comics.
Mm.
And you had all these British dudes who did comics like Simon Bisley and
But
Dermot
mainly on the
Power.
covers, right? Not the
Yeah,
interiors, on the
but they
cover.
also did the interiors like this, and
Okay.
this is what I really liked. It, oftentimes, you see a comic book, it has this great cover, and then you look at the interiors, and it's kind of a letdown. And with these guys, like Bisley and Power and all these dudes, Glenn Fabry and all that, the interiors were just as good as the covers. And that's something that I really, really liked. And this is part of the reason why I paint. And
Like the
instead of
Hillebrand brothers, right? The
yes,
Hillebrand brothers.
yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this is really what I'm trying to do with Kill Them Dead.
Well,
Um
I don't know. You're working on black and white comics. Is that correct with the little gray toning, as you were saying?
I
Or will
usually do
these
that.
or will these be in color?
They will be in color.
Okay. Now, one thing that I've learned recently, really, color really adds volume. Or, and again, a bad colorist can kill it. A bad colorist. I've seen some bad coloring on some comics. And when you really notice it, it's and a lot of these reprints, they'll recolor them, but they really won't do them justice. It's garish,
Yeah.
acid pink or green, or, you know.
Yeah. The thing is, the rules for coloring are completely different with Kill Them Dead, because this is going to be a blacklight book. So you're going to be able to read it under blacklight. And what we want are these, screaming neon colors for everything. This is not how you would typically color a regular book. So
Yeah.
we have to do it in a completely different manner.
Going for, I say great. That's what we're going for. I don't know if Lumina Vox that's getting ready to come out, but I mean the colors on that are like wow, like I don't want to say psychedelic, but they're more in the realm of what you're talking about, like black light posters.
Yeah, we're definitely going for psychedelic.
Yeah.
I don't know if Odin told you this when he was on, because Kill Them Dead is not just going to be a comic book; it's also a heavy metal album. So it's basically like the comic book is basically illustrating the lyrics of the songs, and So it's a package of heavy metal album and blacklight reactive art all in one, and it's meant to be consumed that way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so this is why we need bright neon colors.
Well, I think if that is your goal, go for it. I mean, I love to see that stuff. But now when something's miscolored, and that's kind of what I was talking about,
Yeah,
you know, it looks out of place. If anything really that takes you out of the experience is wrong. If it's bad
absolutely.
lettering, if it's bad, you know, the inker doesn't compliment that artist, and certainly we've seen some of that in comics. But now when you get it right, oh, it's magic.
I guess to a certain degree, this is something like I love Bill Sienkiewicz, but this is something that you could criticize at times.
Thank you,
You
Tim.
know, sometimes his stuff gets so weird that it actually takes you out of the story and you just lose track, you know. So you have to be careful not to go too wild and too artsy fartsy with all that stuff.
Yeah. What is all that stuff? I have to ask you, what is all that stuff in the background? What books and
Oh,
your
those
artwork and
those are DVDs.
DVDs?
You
Okay.
mean this right there? All DVDs. This is just basically my DVD collection.
Wow. So what, take us through what kind of genre you like. You like horror? You like what?
Uh, um,
Sci-fi? What? Westerns?
I
What?
you know, for most of my adult life, I have been kind of a movie buff, and I was really interested in anything, um, really anything.
Yeah.
I
Now
worked at
I
a
have a region free player and Doctor
yes, yeah,
Who,
yeah,
so I can watch anything from China, Germany, you know, because there's region 1, there's region 2, region 3, up to
yeah,
6, I think.
yeah. I
Yeah.
needed that as well. But you know, I if I would have to pick a particular genre, I think it back then it would have been horror, but
Okay.
I'm really very much a movie fan in general, and
So is
uh,
there a place that you can go, or do you order those online? Where
well,
how do
you
you
know,
achieve such a massive DVD collection?
back in the days when I was at college, I worked at a video store.
Oh, okay.
When they still had video stores.
When they had VHSs?
I know that was DVD
Okay,
already.
DVD.
Yeah,
Okay. And now we have Blu-rays, right?
yeah. I don't, but you know,
Yeah.
I guess
Okay.
people have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always got DVDs from my workplace. You know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was very cheap and
If you work in the business, it helps, doesn't it?
yeah, it does.
Yeah. And you know
the,
what's
the, the,
coming
the, the
out.
the payment was absolute shit, but at least I got
You got
movies
a
for
good
free.
collection of what you
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that was a fun time, but you know, the payment. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do subtitles?
Um, I always had to deal with subtitles because I would always watch Asian movies, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and all these Hong Kong movies and the Japanese movies and all that.
Uh-huh.
They weren't dubbed. You had to watch
Yeah.
the original language version with subtitles. So yeah,
I've been seeing Germany come out with some pretty cool, you know, superhero fair movies of late, and a bunch out of Russia as well.
really, I didn't
Yeah,
even know that.
yeah, yeah. They
Yeah,
did. Russia's really been kind of doing the Hollywood thing, and I think China's working on that too. I think they put a lot into their. They want to be the next Hollywood. Of course, they
yeah,
want to conquer the
they
whole
won't be.
world. You know? Yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Now you just
yeah.
let me know when you need to go to your party. I don't want to
I'll have
upset
to
that.
go in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
yeah,
All right.
I have to be there at 9 o'clock. So in 5 minutes, sadly I'll have to go. But
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Is that some of your artwork over your other shoulder there that you have hanging up?
sorry again.
Is that some of your artwork hanging up over your shoulder on the walls?
Yeah.
Well, now wait a minute. Don't sound more enthusiastic than that.
it's
Is that some of my artwork? Yeah.
no. See, the
Yes, it
problem
is.
is the problem is I have so much artwork over here. I don't know where to put all that stuff. I got
Yeah.
stacks and stacks and stacks of artwork, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to hang some of that on my wall. Some of the pieces I'm proud of, but yeah, it's
Look
the
at this.
same here. It's
Look
just
at this. It's all over the
paintings over paintings over paintings. It's just everywhere. And
anything you can show us real quick?
did you
Or is it
see
all
any
secret?
of the artwork of Kill Them Dead? I could show you some of that.
All right. Well, I don't want you to give away any spoilers now. I don't
that's
want
cool.
to get you in
That's all
trouble.
on
I don't
that's
want
all
to get a
on Twitter.
DM from Odin saying, "What the hell were you doing?"
Could you enlarge the other camera, maybe? Oh, no.
Oh, I can.
Wait a second.
I can enlarge the other cover. No, you don't have to hold it up. Wait a minute.
So that's
Okay.
promotional.
You want to lay it down? You can lay it down
know.
if you want. There we go.
I'll have to move
I
my
think
camera.
we're gonna. Yeah, I think there we go. All right, and then I can enlarge that.
So that's going to be a
wow. Yeah.
Promotional cover for Kill Them Dead, which I
Wow.
drew and painted.
Uh-huh.
And the interiors are going to look, for the most part, they're going to look like this, for example.
Wow. Oh, yes, I have been seeing. I love that green character. That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like this, for instance. This is another page from Kill Them Dead. Those are the interiors,
And that bull-like character is over there. Did I see it on your YouTube channel? Maybe
I think you might have seen it on the campaign page on Indiegogo.
And campaign. Oh, yeah. I just signed up for it. Yeah, it was over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
This has a Corbin feel to it.
Yeah, well, that's a nice compliment, man. Thanks.
Yeah, especially the brown and the red tones there. I see Corbin.
Well, I really want, like I said before, I really want a book that has interiors that are as cool as the cover, which oftentimes really doesn't happen in comics. But
Uh-oh, Timothy. Timothy just busted a nut in his pants. That artwork was that.
Thanks, Timothy. Thank you.
Timothy's off the chain sometime. There's I don't want to say a surrealistic quality to this piece, but are you influenced by surrealism or any of the other art movements? Or you just do your own thing?
Not at all. I'm just influenced mostly by illustrators.
Okay. That's what Steve Rude was into, the more illustrative type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are certainly some comic book artists that I'm inspired by, but it's mostly illustrators. But that's not, I'm not trying to say anything bad about comic creators or anything. It's just I paint, and you don't have a lot of painters in comics, so you look for illustrators.
And this is primarily acrylic, correct?
This is all acrylic and ink.
Okay. And what kind of board or paper are you working on for that?
This particular piece is just regular
Bristol
printing paper. No.
Okay.
The regular cheap 300-gram printing paper.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, nothing special. This is a bit more expensive. This is the artist quality, mixed media paper or whatever, but also nothing too special. You see, the thing is, when you paint, it really doesn't matter what kind of paper you use, because it's all going to be covered in acrylic, and from that point on, you don't have any of the feel of the paper anymore.
Yeah. It looks like you like to work in black a lot with white over for the highlights.
Absolutely. I love that. It looks very dramatic.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the go-to with that, they say, oh, yeah, it's Frank Miller, because he did so much in just black and white like that. Yeah. But as if Frank Miller was the first, to come out to come out with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A second.
Well, I do appreciate you coming on and taking the time I hope I didn't cut us short with the time delay of getting with
No,
you.
again, no problem at all. I'm really thankful that
This was
you
really great. I hope you'll come back on again. You know, you're welcome
at
anytime.
least as long as it's not in the middle of the night for me, it's
Oh,
no
right.
problem. I'll gladly come back on.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
let me know.
What kind of time? I mean, what is your work schedule? I mean, for you, you like to work early in the mornings or all day
Oh
long,
well,
or
my main job is I'm a teacher, so I
oh,
mostly
okay.
work mornings, and I'm usually free afternoons and evenings and on the weekends. Yeah. So, but if you want to have me on again, just let me know. I'll
You
be
bet.
glad to
There's a
to
lot
come back
more
on.
I would like to ask you about uh, the projects in particular. You know,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
so that I get a better handle on what you're actually doing. This was kind of a get to know you type thing. Initially.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
Like I
but
said, I'd be glad to. My pleasure. Just let me know, and I'll be there.
okay,
It
sounds
was it
great.
was a lot of fun, man, and it was nice to meet you.
Yeah, you bet. And have a great time at the party. I hope you have a designated driver.
My friend lives right around the corner, so that won't be a problem.
Okay, are you going to walk?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. Okay, is there going to be food there?
of course.
Of course. Is there going to be brats?
No,
No. See, when I
because
think
we're
of
all
Germany, I think of
because
brats. I think Oktoberfest. I think of beer and sausage and I guess
well,
cheese as well, bread. Yeah.
we're all married, and we're happy to leave our broads at home sometimes.
I don't believe you said that. Shh. It must be a
Sometimes,
soundproof room, folks.
every once in a while,
He would
this is
not say that in front of his wife.
no, no, certainly not.
Either that or unless they have an understanding. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed it. It was a lot. I
Yeah,
always
it was
love
a blast,
talking
man.
particulars of like pens and ink and
Yeah,
paper and the
yeah,
creative process. I think artists probably need to do that more, and
yeah,
then an exchange of ideals, and then that sparks your inspiration.
yeah.
Hopefully when you're off by yourself pondering, what was talked about, and
For me, that is certainly the case, man.
yeah. Well, thank you once again, and thank your wife and your family for your valuable time. And we'll have to set up another time. Just you know, uh, because early in the mornings are good for me because I work at
Cool.
nights. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll
we'll
figure
set
something out.
something up maybe for next week and have you on again, and we'll dive deeper into your projects and
Yeah.
just your lives. I have a large DVD collection like you do, and I
Mhm.
like that you don't just stay within your own borders with what you watch, which I know European nations, they watch a lot American. I
Mhm.
understand that, but and Germany only produces so much, I'm sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, I like that you have a well-rounded collection of where you've got stuff from Hong Kong and Japan and all over the world, and I like that. I think more people should do that. I'll probably never get an American DVD player again when you can buy one a region free and watch anything you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Well,
man.
all right. Well, hat tip to you, and keep collecting and keep that artwork going. You're doing great stuff. I love.
You do the
I,
same,
I
man.
love. Do you have a schedule when you'll drop some more art on Twitter? Because that's where your stuff really, with the colors, really brought your stuff to my notice.
I'm basically posting something every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I like about it. You were very prolific in that, and that's how you're gonna get noticed, especially on
I
Twitter.
certainly hope so.
All
Certainly hope
right.
so.
Well, I hope you'll remember me once you're famous.
I will.